Hey guys, welcome back to Wasenshido Dojo, and today we're going to be talking about something a little different. We're going to talk about root causes and also causes, contributions to depression, and especially depression in young people and also particularly young males. And so here's 6 things that you want to think about and you want to look at in detail before you go on any medication or so. Here are the 6. First one, food, nutrition, undernourishment, deficiencies in vitamins and minerals, the kinds of foods you're eating. If you're eating foods that are processed, ultra-processed foods, non-whole foods, non-organic, whole, fresh foods. If you're eating the standard American diet, lots of sugar, lots of processed foods, high in seed oils, things like that. So basically processed and ultra-processed foods. Look at that. And then usually those foods are also causing deficiencies. So you got to look at particularly B vitamins. With depression, it's B vitamins and all vitamins. So vitamin D, also vitamin A for many things, especially the immune system. So with this section is also sunshine. So it could be 7 different things, but 6 main ones, and then sunshine is a big topic right there. Are you in your room all the time? Are you in dark places all the time? If you're not getting sun, or if there's not much sun outside, you need to get vitamin D, K2, and also magnesium. Those have to go together as cofactors to be processed properly. And those as well, magnesium also needs to go with B vitamins, and so you need to look at B vitamins, but this isn't an in-depth on each thing. This is just 6 things to look at and think about. And like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and comment below on anything that I'm saying, anything that your own experiences, any questions, comments, write them down below, and we'll hopefully get back to you on those questions. And the next thing is your microbiome in your gut. Your microbiome is everything from your head to your toe. Your whole body is your microbiome. It's inside and on your skin on the outside. There's an oral microbiome. So in your mouth is also a microbiome. And what is a microbiome? It's trillions of microorganisms, and you want good bacteria more than you have bad bacteria. If you start having bad bacteria, you're going to have gut yeast overgrowth, the bad overgrowth of the bad ones. So we've all heard of probiotics and prebiotics and those kinds of things, but we're not going to go into detail there. But again, microbiome is affected by everything you do in your life. It's affected by your thoughts, by your the clothes that you wear, the food that you eat, the toxins that you're confronted with in your environment, and you're out in the environment, in the food, water, air, and other environmental toxins. That also has a lot to do with the autoimmunity. So all this stuff ties into depression as well. So next is testosterone, and particularly testosterone in males. As far as depression goes, I'm not sure how much it correlates with young females. That is having an issue with young girls having their periods too young, which is another issue that I'm not fully researched on, but that is an issue. And so particularly young men having an issue with too low of testosterone. So what that's going to do is it's going to cause them their hormones are going to be off balance, of course. They're going to be more anxious. They're going to be more tired. They're going to be more fatigued. Their sleep is going to be, all these, they're going through puberty. It's going to be very tumultuous. It's not just the testosterone. There's, going through puberty and having it be like a roller coaster ride and tumultuous and all kinds of problems. That's not normal. It's normal to have a little bit of a tumult, a little bit of ups and downs, and you're coming into a new body, and your mind is changing and your body's changing. There's going to be, struggles with that, but it's not normal to have all these, a CVS pharmacy list of, grocery list of symptoms, just because of puberty. So testosterone's low. When you go through puberty, and a lot of teenagers are if you have too low testosterone, that contributes to more violence as well. So Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about that also. So teenagers that are becoming more violent in different ways, that's part of the reason. It's too low testosterone, and then medication, SSRIs and all that. So we can get into that as well. Next one is trauma, childhood trauma. Almost everybody goes through trauma in some form or another, some more, some less. Some deal with trauma better, some deal with trauma in a more difficult manner. Some hold on to their trauma and turn it inside and turn it down to themselves. Some take their trauma and expel it outwards to their to people around them in their environment. That's where it can get violent or hostile towards other people, or lashing out to your family and or friends or your environment. So trauma can get processed in different ways, and that is a big issue with depression. So with the trauma, let's go a little bit deeper. So there's the emotional tone scale. So let's see, someone's just kind of like content, normal, not quote unquote normal, because normal, that doesn't mean normal for everybody. It's just, let's just say average, just say like baseline. Somebody's content, they're happy, something. But then you go down into anger, and then you go down into fear, and then you pop back up to anger again, and you lash out, and you go down to fear, and you're in a bubble, and you're locked in yourself in your room, and then you lash out again. Then you try to go to school and try to fit in, and then that doesn't work out, and maybe you get bullied, and then you turn in, and then so it's lashing out. Some people lash out and then they turn in, lash out, turn in. Some people are introverted the whole time, and they stay in this little bubble the whole time, and they're just like, nobody knows what's going on, but they're walking around like something they're about to explode. And then sometimes when you see that, you get these issues with these big acts of aggression and violence towards other people, guns, physical violence and stuff. So the emotional tone scale, anger down into fear, and then down into apathy. When you get into apathy, that's when you're in a numb state. You're in a numb state, and then you're looked at as clinically depressed because you're in this state. And then what they do is then they start medicating you with SSRIs and other things, which, like I said, it can have a place in somebody's life, but you got to think about all these things beforehand, or I want you to think about all these things beforehand. Especially, getting therapy and talking to a therapist about this, or someone that you trust, or even a parent, if you trust your parent, and or a teacher. So that's dangerous when you get into apathy, and you need, like, when somebody's in anger and fear responses, at least that's better than apathy. That's not where you want to be, but if it doesn't get fixed there, and it can definitely go down into apathy and be numbness, and you don't want that, because then you're numb, and then you're depressed, and that's a downward spiral. It's very difficult to get out of that without some serious help if that sticks around too long. So that's trauma and the emotional tone scale in a nutshell. So next one is kind of what we touched on already, is being introverted, and even introverted in a positive way. People just are more introverted than others. So if you're introverted in your you want to be in your room all the time alone and doing your video games, and you're an artist and whatever else, that's totally fine. But just learning that about yourself, or knowing that about yourself, is important, because I'm like maybe 70% introverted, 30% extroverted. It's a sliding scale, and sometimes I'm extroverted and I'm out and have conversations, and I'm out talking with people and family gatherings and going on trips, and sometimes I'm just like, I want to be alone in my room and be by myself, and I don't want anything from the outside. I want to be in my bubble, and that's totally healthy. But what happens is that if you have all these other issues with the emotional tone scale, and then you're introverted, and then you don't have a friends group, and then you don't connect with your family, and you're feeling excluded and secluded in a negative way, in an unhealthy way, then that's going to start to cause, it's going to contribute more to that depression feeling. You're not going to go outside, you're not going to get the sunshine, you're probably not going to be eating well because you are starting to, maybe some person that's turning that aggression and that anger and hate and or fear towards themselves. This was me as a child. I would turn everything in. I would become a martyr, and I'd turn everything in, and I would, this is like self-infliction, when you start hurting yourself. And then, because you don't want to hurt anybody else, but bad things have happened, and so there's nowhere else to turn your fear and anger and aggression and hatred, so you don't start turning it towards yourself. Some people do all that outwardly, or a little bit of both. It's a scale, each person's different. So introverted in an unhealthy way, issues with having friends and making friends, having a friend circle, issues with connecting with your own family, feeling excluded from the family, maybe feeling like an outcast, bullied, that whole thing. So those are things that can contribute to your feeling depression. There's ways to fix all those things. Now, you just by hopefully it's just things to look into and be like, well, how can I fix this? How can I fix that? And that's a separate video, because this is a long video already. And then the last, number 6 on the list, is not having a purpose in society, not feeling fulfilled. And this is also maybe a little more of early adulthood, or just adulthood in general, late middle-age depression, or late onset depression, or just somebody that has a depression that they're going through. It's just like a phase, or like sometimes I think about a dark cloud above your head that just is above your head, and that's all it is, and then it'll just slowly, or quickly pass on by, and you'll get back to feeling better again. We all have our off days, like having an off day. That's like how I think about maybe a dark cloud over your head. Dark clouds can be nice. They can give you rain and shade and all kinds of good stuff. But let's say an unhealthy cloud, an unhealthy dark cloud. Sometimes it can just come and it can go. But if it sticks around too long, that's when you got to look into things. So not having a purpose in your life, not having a purpose in society. It's really important for people. We are creative beings. We're creative people. That's part of what we're, our makeup. That's part of who we are, and what we do as living our life is be creative. So being creative could be having children, could be your job and your career, could be both, could be you're an artist and that's what you do. You create art. You're a painter or sculptor or photography or filmmaker or dancer, any kind of art. We are creative people, and we need to be creating. If we're not creating things or creating something and being creative in some form or another, this can cause issues with depression and lack of purpose. And then if you're not being creative, you're usually not using your skills or your talents. So this can also contribute to your feelings of depression, apathy, seclusion from other people in society. You don't have a friends group that you have that are like-minded. You don't have a career that you're constantly putting your efforts in and getting the feedback. So why it's important too is that we need that feedback. You put something out and we want the feedback in return. You give something out and you receive in return. If there's not that giving and receiving, there's going to be a blockage in your psyche. There's going to be a blockage in your physical body and in your, you could say, spirit or soul. Your energy is inhibited or blocked. It's not living out that purpose. And not everybody has to have this huge, these huge dreams and huge goals in life to be like famous and all kind, huge business and CEOs and owning buildings and becoming a star athlete. And I mean, that's amazing if you can become that and do that, but it's not everybody's purpose to do that. As long as you're feeling fulfillment by doing some sort of having some sort of creativity. So, like I said, even if you're a parent, a stay-at-home mom or dad, your creation energy is kind of like part of your family and part of your children, seeing them grow and teaching them and guiding them, and you're getting that feedback. With art, you're creating art, and then maybe you sell your art, and that's the feedback. And maybe whatever job that you do, you go to work and you feel that you're filling a purpose at that job, and that job has a bigger purpose in society by you're making whatever items or technology, and you're serving a purpose in that way. So you're being creative. So we want to find a way to be creative in some form in life. That will help to keep you in a happier state. That will keep the serotonin levels up, the dopamine up. So serotonin is long-term happiness. Dopamine is the short-term happiness. We need both. It's like every day you go in, or let's say you have a project or you're building your business. Every day you plug a little bit towards your business, and you complete like daily goals. That's going to kind of hit your dopamine receptors. And if you keep doing that, and you're doing that for a bigger purpose, which is your job or your career or the big project that you're working on. The project is the long-term, serotonin. But then when the project is done, you're also going to get a hit of dopamine. So, it's kind of like exercise too. You go and you're lifting weights, or you're running every day, or you're doing some sort of mobility exercise, or yoga, or qigong, or martial arts training. Little by little, you're going to, hopefully you have these short-term goals, and that will hit these dopamine receptors and also keep the serotonin up by exercising, and endorphins, and you're of course eating healthy and all that stuff. But these all tie together, by the way. This is a whole map for your whole life. I mean, not just this, but these 6 or 7 are kind of just right off the top of my head. I was talking the other day, and I just rambled these off, and then I wrote them down. So yep, and then so anyways, going back to your martial arts training or your any kind of physical health fitness training, you are going to you do short-term goals to get dopamine, and then maybe you're striving to be in better shape, or once you lose that 50 pounds, you're losing like 2 pounds a week, and then 50 pounds is your goal, so then you're going to hit that goal. You're going to get that long-term serotonin receptors, and then also those short-term dopamine hits. You don't want too many dopamine hits constantly, too much over and over. That's when you get into drug use and drug abuse, and you constantly then you start to be an addictive personality. The addictive personality is your dopamine receptors are they're kind of overused, so you need more. So it's like when you start to drink alcohol or take a drug, and then all of a sudden a week later you're like, no, I need twice as much, and I need 3 times as, and then you can't constantly need more and more. It's because the dopamine receptors are being constantly used and hit and blasted, and they're becoming numb. So you don't want that. It's fine to get a little bit of there's a healthy level of dopamine that is healthy, and that's what I was talking about. Lifestyle things, maybe a sip of, maybe you have a drink now and again, but I don't drink. I don't promote drinking as part of a healthy lifestyle, but people can be healthy and just have a drink now and again as well. Some people are just affected by alcohol more than others, but if you're drinking every single day, that's another issue. Even if it's just maybe 1 or 2 drinks a day, every day, that's going to start, if your diet is not good, and if you're not doing other lifestyle things to keep yourself healthy, you're going to start depleting B vitamins from alcohol. And if you're eating processed foods, even if it's 1 meal a day, that's going to cause more deficiencies and disruption in your microbiome and your body and your mental state and everything else. And if you're not exercising, you're not getting the endorphins and the blood circulation and the lymphatic system moving, and your muscles aren't being toned, and your hormones are getting up and down instead of being nice and stable, or up, slow up and slow down, kind of a nice. I don't know if that actually is a metaphor, because I don't, but your circadian rhythms and your hormones go up and down throughout the day and throughout different periods of time. Cortisol goes up in the morning and then it goes down, and then you want different neurotransmitters are being fired at different times. If it's for night and for day and stuff like that. So that in a nutshell, this needs to all be talked about with, you can do it with yourself, you can do it with a therapist or someone you trust, and just talk through these things. This is what I'd like people to start doing before they go and get medication from a psychiatrist. Look into this stuff, look into naturopath, and this is a shortened version, because each one of these could be a whole video. The food and nutrition thing, so we want to get on a healthier diet. Like, look into low carb diets such as ketogenic diet and paleo diet. Those two, plus carnivore, ketovore, and there's just a hybrid of all of those. All those are low carbohydrate diets. A lot of grains, a lot of grains are not healthy for people. For a healthy person, they can do a little bit of grains, or they can, some people can digest other things better than others. For certain people that have gut and leaky gut, microbiome issues, and autoimmune conditions and chronic illness, that you get to really look into what kind of diet and deficiencies you have, and that's a whole different subject as well. So you need to start supplementing. So with depression, get on some vitamin D, K2. Look at that Dr. Berg, vitamin D, K2 and then getting out in the sun, getting your vitamin D, getting magnesium. Dr. Berg is a magnesium as well, and then get a B vitamin complex. Get a good healthy one. Maybe I'll put some of these in the description. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.